everybody, and welcome to our last lecture of the semester, Chapter 19. We're going to spend a little bit of time looking at the public and corporate reputation, sort of both as stakeholders and impacting forces. As always, let's review the learning objectives for the week. We're going to recognize why the general public is an important organizational stakeholder. We're going to understand what constitutes good corporate reputation and why it's important. We're going to know the basic elements and activities of a firm's public relations department. We're going to assess how brand management can best manage a firm's reputation. We're going to evaluate a firm's crisis management plan as an effective tool for handling an unexpected situation. And we're going to recognize tactics that enable businesses to engage with the general public and other stakeholders to enhance the firm's reputation. The public will respond to corporate behavior, good or bad, regardless of whether members of the public actually interact with the business at all. A savvy company needs to be aware that everything it does is a potential viral story. The use of media by business entities can establish a business's reputation. It can repair an image after a crisis. It can manage PR. It can deal with a crisis as it is occurring, and it can engage with stakeholders group. As we have seen, poor management of the media can do just the opposite of those things and have negative effects on the business. A reputation is defined as desirable or undesirable qualities associated with an entity or actions of that entity that may influence the entity's relationship with stakeholders. Corporate identity is how an organization presents itself to stakeholders. Corporate image is how the organization's members believe others see the organization. Reputation takes time to build, but it can be destroyed in a second. The 24-hour news cycle can be both a blessing and a curse to business organizations. Good reputation allows entities to build social, political, and stakeholder capital, which can be used in times of crisis or to prevent a crisis altogether. Entities should have and make use of public affairs or public relations offices. They should serve as the conduit to deal with stakeholders and to provide a consistent message to all stakeholders, both market and non-market alike. Public relations departments should be involved in advertising, corporate sponsorship activities, external communications, internal communications, as well as publicity. Social media has changed the game in terms of interactions with external stakeholders. Companies must make sure that the messaging is culturally appropriate, particularly when doing business in multiple markets. What plays in Peoria might not play in Prague. If resources allow it, it is best to have region or country-specific public relations departments. Brand management. Using public relations techniques to increase the perceived value of a brand over time. Apple, anyone? One of the risks of doing business is having bad things happen. When those bad things happen suddenly and unexpectedly, a crisis occurs. Business can generally anticipate what most of these crises might look like and should have contingency plans in place to deal with them. For example, airlines know that planes crash. Food producers know that bad product might get out there and make people sick, etc. Those contingencies should be planned for. As noted, there are 4 general groups of crises: act of God, mechanical problems, human errors, management decisions, or indecisions. Examples of corporate crisis may include these kinds of things: terrorism, poor financial performance, death of key personnel, layoffs, plant shutdowns, sexual harassment scandals, class action lawsuits, etc. A company can employ several strategies when a crisis occurs. First, as we've discussed, a company should have a plan in place before something unexpected happens. In most cases, anticipation can obviate the unexpected. Second, communication with stakeholders in an upfront manner. Don't try to hide the ball. Covering up will cause problems in the long term. Third, utilize media channels and goodwill. Get out ahead of the story. Spin when necessary. Fourth, do the right thing. Doing the wrong thing for the wrong reasons is destructive to the company. If the company is acting with good faith and in goodwill, doing the right thing is the best way to go. Finally, once the crisis has resolved, mediate, mitigate, and form plans to prevent it from happening again. It's important to engage stakeholders during and after the crisis in an honest, timely, helpful, understanding, and professional manner. Media relations should learn how to deal with reporters. Watch cable news and you will see these strategies employed by spokespersons all of the time. Hooking. Make a statement that influences the next question. Bridging. Ask questions but tie it to your key message, or answer the questions but tie it to your key message. And then flagging. Stay on your talking points. No matter what questions are, you can see on cable news or cable channels that those folks who are being questioned stay on message, even if it really doesn't answer the question. Many times it's difficult to deal with all of the user-generated media sites. Find sites that are relevant and use them to your advantage. Carefully monitor entities' use of third-party generated content. When firms pay to have online or print publishers create and distribute their content, it's important to pay attention that they are getting the message out. Corporate sponsorship of public, charitable, or community events can be great ways to engage with stakeholders. Before making decisions about corporate sponsorship of public, charitable, or community events, the entity should ask these questions. What do we get out of the participation? Again, there's that enlightened self-interest. Is this event unique compared to others? Will it make us stand out? How are we directly engaging our stakeholders? What is the return on our investment? And does the event reach target audience? For example, would a tobacco company want to sponsor a half marathon? Use of public service announcements. With DVRs and people cutting the cable, one wonders just how valuable these public service announcements are, kind of patting the company on its back. The fast forward button is available on most remote controls. Use of image ads. Look for some example of this where the ad has very little to do with the product. Think of cigarette or liquor ads. Those advocate lifestyles rather than a specific product. All right, well, that was just a very brief discussion of public relations and crisis management. And again, been a pleasure working with you this semester, and best of luck in your future endeavors.